Are you ready to go back into the Upside Down? Because in Stranger Things 4 Volume 1, which releases on Netflix on May 27th, 2020, you will be going back to the Upside Down. How you get there is a mystery, but this is a spoiler-free review of the Volume 1 of Stranger Things 4, so make sure to not get spoiled before you see it. It's quite a long season. We thought that it was going to be maybe 4 parts in 4 episodes in part 1, 5 episodes in part 2, or 5 episodes part 1, 4 episodes in part 2. But this is a full 7 episodes, and each of the episodes are at least 63 minutes long. That is the shortest episode, up to an hour and a half for one of the episodes in this first 7-part block of the 4th season of Stranger Things. Stranger Things obviously is streaming on Netflix. You can watch the first 3 seasons before you get here, but this one is massive. It is the biggest, the best, and it's kind of hard to see where it goes from here, but we have a part 1 and then a part 2. Obviously, the Duffer Brothers created, wrote, and directed most of the episodes in this season, and they do the first episode and the last episode with some in between there as well. And it's just an absolutely amazingly entertaining time to watch this TV show, and you get a lot of great performances. So let's go through the cast, because it's absolutely massive here. So we've got Winona Ryder, Millie Bobbie Brown, Noah Schnapp, David Harbour, Gatton Matazzaro, Sadie Sink, Finn Wolfhard, Caleb McLaughlin, Natalia Dyer, Charlie Heaton, Joe Keery, Maya Hawke, pardon me, Priya Ferguson, Cara Buono, Brett Gelman, Eduardo Franco, Joseph Quinn, Robert Englund, and Tom Waschia. And some of those are newcomers, some of them are returning cast members, but the newcomers here, in particular, the characters of Argyle, Victor Creel, and Dimitri, are all fantastic. They're all great. Also included is Eddie, one of the new characters. He's also great. Of them, Dimitri is probably the most impactful, just from his performance and how he helps out a character in the season. Don't want to delve too much into spoilers here, but that's all you're going to get. Argyle is hilarious. Eddie is hilarious. They add some nice light brevity to the overall sort of dark and kind of depressing proceedings here in Stranger Things 4. The horror here, we're not in the Goonies section of the show anymore. The kids have all grown up, so that means they can all be terrified. They can all be stalked by Vecna, the villain for the season here. And Vecna is absolutely terrifying. It's very similar to like Freddy Krueger or something like that, where the way he stalks his victims and how the sort of visions that they go through are truly terrifying and personal to these characters that's happening to them. Victor Creel, played by Robert Englund. Robert Englund he's not in very many scenes in Volume 1 here, but the scenes he's in are very impactful, and they are greatly acted by Robert Englund here. He proves once again that he is a great, fine actor, and he is more than just Freddy Krueger. And if Netflix is watching out here, please, somebody greenlight a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Robert Englund. Get him back one more time. This performance will lead to that. It should lead to that, because it's that good, and he's that sort of creepy, eerie on here, but he's not quite terrifying, but you don't also know the full story yet until you watch the whole season. But here, Robert Englund is fantastic. It's a very scary sort of show. I was watching the first episode by myself in the dark, and I had to turn on the lights and everything because it was that scary. The first episode will scare you all the way through to that 7th episode, and everything in between. It's just very dreadful and very dark, and sort of, there's even in the light scenes, there's stuff bubbling under the surface that you can tell that there's something not quite right with everything going on in Hawkins and wherever else they are in the season. The season is globe-trotting. It goes between a bunch of different characters that are all in groups of each other, and so it does follow that sort of formula that Stranger Things set out in season 2 and 3, but even to a greater extent here, where everybody is sort of just together in groups. So you've got the group in California, you've got a group in Russia, you've got a group in Hawkins, you've got a group somewhere else. And it's pretty good that way, where you can have these sort of segmented chunks, and so you can move between them, the writers move between them, but it does lead to some problems with the pacing, and it does lead to some big problems with certain characters not getting basically enough screen time here. So a lot of the characters, they have a lot of screen time. Some of the characters, including Nancy, get way more screen time than previous seasons. So like Mike, Jonathan, and Will, like their plot feels important-ish, sort of, but it also just doesn't feel that important in the grand scheme of things. The material that they're given is fine, but it just, if they weren't there and they weren't doing what they were doing, it doesn't feel like they would be missed very much. Now I could be wrong when part 2 comes out and then their whole thing that they're doing is incredibly important, but here in just part 1, it feels like they're very much not needed to the plot. It is a thrilling first volume that does have some pacing issues. Those don't really drag it down that much because the effects are great. The length of the series is great. You might think that if there's this many episodes and they're this long, that some things would get like too overindulgent, you would seem, but they don't. And the plot really works with how they're going through the season and the big budgets for everything. You can complain about how Netflix put in $30 million an episode, but when the episodes are 60 to 90 minutes long, and in some cases a little bit longer than that, and in future episodes they are much longer than that, you're basically looking at it like, what does a feature film cost? $60 million to $100 million. Well, you're getting half a feature film here or more, basically, with each of these episodes. The effects are greatly improved. The Upside Down has never looked better. The monsters have never looked better. And everything just looks more natural. I don't think they filmed using the stagecraft technique that The Mandalorian used, but it does look like that in some of the scenes, especially in the Upside Down. This is a great season of television, especially for Stranger Things fans out there, or horror fans, because this one is going to thrill you, it'll scare you, and it's got plenty of action and a little bit of comedy to upset all of that sort of negative energy that's going through the season. It very much feels like The Empire Strikes Back of Stranger Things. So we're going to have to see when part 2 releases in July to get the full story. But as for now, this first part is absolutely, utterly great. And you will not want to miss this one when it comes out on May 27th. So make sure to watch it on Netflix. Let me know in the comments what you think of Stranger Things 4 Volume 1. And let me know after you watch the series what you think of it. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do all that YouTube stuff because it really helps me out to figure out what my viewers want to see. And until then, and until you watch Stranger Things 4, and until we get to part 2, I will see you again real soon, and thank you for watching.